you guys published, the off scale counts
Mhm.
per second on the 18th of December. When do you expect these lab results to come out and the geochem results to come out as well? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Next Big Rush. I am here with Sam Hartman, VP of Exploration with F3 Uranium. Yes, the company everybody's always talking about when it comes to uranium, because I believe this is truly the most exciting uranium discovery of 2023. And let's see what else they can find going into 2024. Sam, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, Sam, you have been with the company and seen the developments from finding like the super high grade intercepts way back when, and to now that you guys have been able to drill a bit more. And obviously, geologists always want to drill more, right? You guys
Mhm.
always want to just keep drilling as much as possible. And unfortunately, we live in a day and age when it's kind of expensive to go out there and drill. And so I want to ask you first and foremost, what do you guys know so far about what you guys have, what there is at Patterson Lake North currently?
So we made the discovery in late 2022, which was the what's now called the JR zone, which is a high grade pod of uranium mineralization. Um, Ever since we found that, we've started looking for the next one. So you're right that drilling is expensive, but for us ultimately, especially in the basin, drilling is the only way to discover anything. We have a lot of cover, overburden cover, and we can't see the ground or walk on it like you're able to in other places like BC. So drilling for us is really the only way to make a new discovery. What we do is we do a lot of geophysics to kind of refine where we want to drill so that we have to drill the least amount. But ultimately, it's going to come down to drilling, and that's how you're going to make the next discovery. We have so we have the JR zone. We've been drilling there since we just finished a 53 hole drill program there, just shy of 20. I think it was just shy of 20,000 meters. And that was kind of infilling it and expanding it in all directions. So we step out, we drill on sections, we'll hit a high grade hole, we'll go up dip or down dip of that and kind of grow it in whichever direction it tells us, where we kind of chase the highest grades. So in our last news release, we had some good scent results on line 15 south. I think that was hole 110. That was a hole where we stepped up dip of a previous hole. And then 110 had actually quite a bit more off scale than the hole just south of it or down dip of it. So we have to step up again from that this coming program. We're set up. The way we drill is we pre-case our drill holes ahead of the diamond drilling. And at the end of the fall program, we kind of pre-cased five or six holes. So that's what we'll start on with this winter 2024 program. So that'll kind of set the tone on how we start off. It'll be, with 2 diamond drills, drilling infill holes and expansion holes on the zone. And then one of those drills will move down to the B1 area, which is kind of the southern end of the whole strike package, if you want to call it, and do some exploration drilling in there. And that is kind of an area that we are focused on as the highest priority place where we hope to make another discovery.
Okay, so that's important because you just
Mm.
mentioned B1
Mhm.
and the discovery was made at A1, correct?
That's
The
right.
initial discovery.
That's
And
right.
how do these relate to one another? Are they close at all? Do they connect? Have we, drilled between them? What is, sort of uh, the the distance and what we're looking at here?
So the B, what we call the A1 and the B1, initially these were called EM conductors. So those were geophysical features. Um, the B1 is kind of a slightly offset piece of the A1. So it's slightly offset, but continues. Then we started drilling it and realized what these things represent geologically. So the A1 conductor became the A1 shear zone. So that's what hosts the the JR zone. At B1, it's a different shear zone. They're offset a little bit. We have one thing we were mindful of is that it could be the same structure, just broken and offset a little bit. So we did drill one hole that drills through both of them. So we did intercept both of them in the same hole. So we kind of do know that it's two separate things, but their exact relationship is difficult to really understand because we just have these far spaced drill holes in there. Overall, they're a structure. They're each a structure in the same system, so they are related to each other in terms of timing. The structures in the basement look similar enough to each other that, you know, there's a lot of commonology there. But what's unique about the B1 is that the northern end of it, we don't have any sandstone at all. So it's outside of the Athabasca Basin. If we step 200 or 300 meters south of that, we get into about 200, 250 meters of sandstone. And then the area that we're interested in is under about 250 meters of sandstone, which is quite a bit different from JR zone. So what we see there is a cross-cutting fault where the south end, where B1 is on, it's dropped down about a couple hundred meters. So one thing we're looking at is what's the relevance of this fault. It might be more of like a red herring where it might not be related to anything. I think it probably does have something to do with, cross-cutting structures are very important in uranium exploration. Usually these are areas where you have increased fluid permeability. You have one fault crossing another fault, and then where they cross, you have big, they're called damage zones. And those damage zones are areas where fluids can circulate through more easily and accumulate uranium. So I think that's what we're looking for at B1. The analog, when you're looking for a new zone, the first analog that you're looking for is kind of like the zone you found before. You look for the same thing. At the same time, you're going to be mindful that the next thing might not be identically the same or be hosted exactly in the same. So you've got to be wary of that. Initially, what we're looking for at B1 is going to be sort of the area where this basement fault comes to the unconformity, and just below that, kind of where JR is located. And after that, we will kind of step out and then also look at the unconformity itself. Because at B1, we have more sandstone, so we actually have a bigger window where we can see geologically what happened. It's nice to have a bit of sandstone because sandstone is kind of like a clean sheet of paper. There shouldn't be anything in there. When you have a bit of sandstone, you can find anomalies in there, especially geochemistry and clay mineralogies that make it a lot easier to pinpoint where you might have something at depth.
Very cool.
Yeah, on the south end of B1, we drilled a fence of 4 holes. We have the unconformity depth there is about 330 meters, compared to 180-ish at the JR zone. So it's a bit deeper, but by no means deep.
Not the deepest ever, right?
No, it's not, but not by far. These holes were deeper, and we let them run quite deep in the basement. We wanted to kind of drill a wide section of basement geology, just to get a better sense of what's there, and so that we can then correlate what we're seeing in the geology to geophysics we're doing.
So my next question is, does this so far look like anything else that is out there and is known to be a uranium deposit in the basin? Or are you looking at something that's quite unique?
I think it's fairly what we see. So we have kind of two components at B1. You have the basement hosted portion, which is a big, wide graphitic shear zone That is fairly typical with most or many deposits where you have sort of a graphite component that's structurally disturbed at depth, which is we also see that at JR zone, and that's what you see at triple R. And then we also have the sandstone portion above it. One hole, which is hole 111, hit quite a significant portion of the lower sandstone is very brecciated. So it's broken up into fairly large pieces and then cemented back together. And a lot of the infill is with dravite clay, and that's kind of like one of the hallmarks of nearby mineralization is dravite. Dravite clay is rich in boron. So that comes back to when we do our geochemistry, we look at high boron values, which usually corresponds to dravite. On the B1, I think we only have full geochemistry results for one hole that we've released, which was I think 93, and that was in excess of 10,000 ppm boron, which is extremely anomalous. And that kind of tells you there's this clay there, dravites, and you can also see them visually as well. I think we're looking forward to getting the geochemistry results of the other holes in that area, and that'll help us prioritize.
So
Right now we have, our next program is starting in less than 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So initially, like I said, we'll start the program on JR zone. One drill will move down to B1, and it's going to follow up on just the drill results we have so far.
Okay, so before we start talking about next steps, I guess one other question is, you guys published the off scale counts per second on the 18th of December. When do you expect these lab results to come out and the geochem results to come out as well?
I'm hoping for late January with that. The lab usually shuts down over Christmas, and then before Christmas, they kind of do a big push and they get as much done as they can. Having said that, I think we were one of the only companies that was drilling in the fall time. So in the late fall, the lab was basically only doing our samples. So this winter, with uranium being where it's at, everyone is going to be drilling. So I'm assuming that results will be a bit slower to come in, but we'll still package them up in groups of holes as it makes sense, and as we QA/QC the results and put them out in a timely manner.
Awesome. Cool. Really looking forward to those for sure. Because whenever it's off scale, you know that the numbers are going to be ridiculous and
Mm-hmm.
high. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
always, fun to report. And it just adds to, the knowledge of the area for you guys of, okay, like what are we looking at? And every single positive hit that you get, whether it's geochem or, like actual radioactivity, whether it's off scale or not. It also helps you guys to know, okay, based on this, where to
Mm-hmm.
next, right? And that's what I'd like to touch upon now. You guys just put out a press release saying that you're going to spend $60 million on your drilling campaign, and I'm assuming that's all for the winter campaign. So what is happening there, and how are you gonna figure out where to drill?
So the 16 million is going to be for 2024. We'll do as much as we can in the winter until we have to shut down for breakup, probably in late March, early April, and then we'll have a summer program after that. I think that, like you said, exploration is very dynamic, and you got to make a plan in order to be able to change your plan. So you go into these programs and you have an idea and you have some drill holes planned, but ultimately it's very dynamic, and any one hole you drill can change on the direction the drill program is going to take. I think it's very important to have that flexibility, because you just don't usually you just don't know exactly what to expect. Some places like JR zone drilling, I think we have a fairly good idea on what we're going to do. We'll stretch it out into all directions and up towards the unconformity, and try to make it a bit longer and fill the rest in and get it to the stage where it could be ready for a resource estimate at some point. And that's a little bit different from the exploration drilling, where especially in an area like B1, we're still doing geophysics right now, and we're expecting that our understanding of it will change before and during the drill program, right? So
And
we're
so
going to go in
how
there.
do you decide how much to allocate towards that versus, the B1 zone?
Well, we usually start with a very rough budget estimate and kind of break it up into different zones. Um, I think that B1 exploration B1 will be a fairly significant portion of our exploration will be focused on that. We also have other parallel trends as well that have been quite unexplored. We have one to the north, which is called the A1, or sorry, the A4 trend. It's another 8 kilometer long trend that really lit up with the airborne MT survey that we flew last summer. And that's an area where we have, I think it's about 8 kilometers long, 3 kilometer wide resistivity anomaly with
Have
one
you
drilled
drilled
hole
that
in it.
at all? Oh,
We
you've
have
drilled.
not, we drilled one, we have one
Mhm.
hole in there from 2014.
Okay.
Um, so another thing we'll do in parallel to B1 exploration this winter will be to find a way to refine that big wide zone and see if there's something we can do to limit, our where we want to drill. So we're looking at different things. One of them, we might do a gravity survey, um, see if something shows up that way. But yeah, the majority will be B1. And then also the A1 conductor itself still has a lot of gaps in it where, you look at a zone like JR zone and you say, where can you still fit this in between drilling? And there's still quite a few of those areas to test. So we'll start at A1 and then we'll or JR zone, and then we'll kind of branch off into exploration and, hopefully tag into another zone.
That's exciting for sure. And I'm,
Mm,
I'm sure that's going to, uh, you know, take shape as you're drilling it and as you're getting
mm,
lab results back in geochem and,
mm,
and whatnot. So I'm sure you're going to have to, take a look at that plan and,
mm,
reroute several times as it is, when you're leading those exploration campaigns.
mm.
So you guys are onto something that's very unique in the sense of its high grade nature. Obviously, in the Athabasca Basin, you do expect it, uh, but I'm just really happy that we kind of get to peer into what you guys are doing and how you guys are just developing the story bit by bit, step by step. I remember, whenever the first big hole came out and it kind of shocked everybody, and now you were just proving it up and developing
Mhm,
it. And even the mention, of a resource estimate is just like, wow, we've come so far, from that one hole. So,
mhm.
my last question, I guess, is what other markers would you like to see, except for obvious, high grade? What other markers would you like to see in the exploration portion of the campaign?
So we have a ground IP DC resistivity survey that we started in the late fall. We didn't quite get to complete it before Christmas. So as we start drilling here in the new year, we're going to finish that, and that'll cover the B1 area. That's going to help us refine some drill targeting. So we're hoping to see some resistors and some areas of conductivity or low resistance. Um, what I'm looking forward is to kind of have an integrated idea where the geophysics and the geochemistry comes together with your structural model. And after that, it's down to drilling, you know, and you gotta have a little bit of luck as well.
That's
But
true.
ultimately you gotta let your intuition kind of take over and guide you there. So we've done it
Well,
before, and I hope we can do it again.
that's what I was
Ultimately,
just about to
we
say.
can only find what's there, and if it's
Yes.
there, we definitely want to find it. That's sort of our worst nightmare is that there is something there and you don't find it.
Mhm.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, you've been lucky before. I'm sure that Lady Luck will smile upon you once again. You guys seem to be just serial successful exploration geologists, which is it means a lot. I think that most people don't really appreciate how difficult it is as a geologist to make an economic discovery. And obviously, I'm not claiming that this is an economic
Mm,
discovery. We're just assuming, from the grade and what you guys are
mm,
finding. We know it's high grade. It's a high grade discovery. Period. End of story. That's not up for debate. And to be able to do that in such an environment where you can so easily miss the
mhm.
Athabasca Basin, where things are so concentrated, is actually something to be celebrated. So, congratulations once again. And I would like to know, where can people go to find out more about the company?
I think our website at 3uranium.com, we put on comprehensive drill sections and plan view maps and try to kind of, put all the information out there that the savvier people can put together and get an idea for themselves of what we're up against.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam. And I hope to be speaking to you soon with more
Mhm.
information and more results on the JR zone, A1, B1, and whatever else you guys
And beyond,
come
yeah.
across. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.